It's time for the playoffs. You always turn it up when you get to the postseason. Race 1 of 7 as we determine a champion 2024 in the CRAFTSMAN Truck Series. Front row, Ty Majeski and Tanner Gray. Off we go from the Milwaukee Mile.
Great start there by Majeski and Christian Eckes. He drives around the outside of Gray. Tanner rolls up.
Watch Sanchez trying to make that move on the bottom. How about Corey Heim making it 3 wide for a moment, going around the outside?
That's what we talked about in the opening, how many different grooves there are here. And if your truck's better, you can really take advantage of that. He went high in 3 and 4. So what's he doing 1 and 2? Right down to the bottom to make the next pass.
Wait a minute, are we at Milwaukee or Michigan? I mean, they're running everywhere here on the opening start.
Remember, it's really hard to pass here. You remember that?
It is, and that's what makes it so fun to watch. But you also have to take care of these tires. There's going to be a lot of fall off. We talked about strategy. When the caution flag falls, do we flip the stages? These tires will go away.
We saw 2.5 seconds of fall off in the ARCA Menards race earlier today.
As you check out our scoring pylon, all those playoff drivers highlighted in gold. And you want to turn to green, because once you go to green, that means you're qualified for the next round. A win today would get you there.
Gold is green, and gold is good, and green is great, right?
That's right.
Look at that push. Tyler Ankrum on the outside there. Got a little bump from Daniel Dye as you see Grant working that very bottom. I like it down there, man. You seem to get a real good run up off the corner, but it's not enough to clear Daniel. Look at Grant sling it down in the corner, really in there deep. Can he hold that bottom and make this pass? Yes, look at that. Darts right off the corner there.
And listen to how much off throttle time these guys are putting up with here.
Daniel says, that looked pretty cool, Grant. Let me give that a whirl. I'll go to the bottom.
Nice group of playoff drivers racing here together. Ankrum, Infinger, on board Daniel Dye.
What a nice move by Daniel Dye to grab that spot back.
I told you he liked what Grant did.
Taylor Gray in that mix as well. Another one of those second-year drivers that's been impressive.
Remember, Taylor Gray's crew chief is Jeff Hensley, who did call the shots for Grant Enfinger in that dominating win last year.
And, you know, he was cruising through the early portion of the summer, had a couple of hiccups, and you're like, whoa, 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 is he not going to be able to make it into the postseason? But he took care of business down the stretch, and here he is running for a championship. 38 is Layne Riggs.
Another short track ace, and I know this is a mile in length, but Phil, we liken this to a short track. I mean, you heard the off throttle time, you heard the finesse that it takes to squeeze that gas down, or you just move up like Layne did and take that space.
Big time loose for Taylor Gray. There's going to lose a couple spots. That's Matt Kraft on the 88 on the inside. The blue 41 is Bailey Curry. Now looking to fight back through the middle.
Wow, I didn't see that coming. He dove in the middle of that mix there. And that's not going to work.
Contact opens the door for Ben Rhodes. Drives to the inside of the 17 to Taylor Gray.
Bailey Curry gets some damage to that right front. That was pretty hard contact.
It was.
Mitch and Rhodes started 18th, but here he is already up to 13th in the running order.
Here's when it all got started. You see Layne moves up, squeezes Grant out of the way. That kind of triggers the gas for Gray. He saw an opportunity when these two got together and gassed it up on the bottom, but then runs into Riggs.
Yeah, I think Riggs got off the throttle when they made contact as well. And here's that second part of that coming down the front stretch. Taylor Gray's trying to go in between Matt Kraft and Bailey Curry, and there's not enough room.
That's a lot of contact to that left front of Bailey Curry's truck.
Remember, he had a top 10 finish here last year, Bailey Curry.
And looking for his first top 10 of 2024. But as you said, Phil, solid at the Milwaukee Mile in his first start here 1 season ago. There's the 41 from Team Nice.
So far, so good. Look at that left side of that truck. I think that's going to hurt the aerodynamics of that truck a bit, and we need all the help we can get at this Milwaukee Mile because of how flat these turns are.
There's Sammy Smith in the 7 truck, started all the way back in the 19th spot. Remember, just Came off the racetrack at Daytona a couple nights ago.
He's in quite a fight in
Yes,
the
he
Xfinity
is.
Series, trying to make his way into the playoffs.
Did I see a little bit of smoke from that 41 truck of Bailey Curry? Maybe a little tire rub?
I think that's a very big possibility. Caden Honeycutt again up in the top 5. Every time he gets a chance behind the wheel of this 45 truck, he goes to town. Off to a great start here in Milwaukee.
He has just piled up to top 10 finishes when he gets an opportunity in this truck.
Make a strong argument. Should have won Kansas, could have won Charlotte. Top 5 today at Milwaukee. Top 4 all playoff guys. Majeski, Eckes, Heim, and Sanchez. We're live at the Milwaukee Mile. It's the opening race in the playoffs for the Craftsman Truck Series. Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip. I'm Adam Alexander. Ty Majeski started on the pole. He's led every lap so far. Eckes, Heim, Sanchez, Honeycutt the top 5. And while we were away, problems for Honeycutt's teammate Bailey Curry.
Yeah, we knew the contact had caused a lot of damage to that left front. You can see right here, it's flat. He heads to pit road. Tough break early, and this is what happened. He gets squeezed here off turn 4. Crafton comes up, Gray comes up, and there just wasn't anywhere for Curry to go.
It came down pit road an extended period of time to change those 4 tires. They actually couldn't get the jack underneath that left side, so now he finds himself 2 laps down.
Yep, 2 laps down, 36th for the 41.
Going by the 33 of Lawless Allen. Lawless had a good run earlier today in the ARCA Menard Series race, finished in the top 5.
Had to bounce back from some adversity. Nick Sanchez running fourth, Jamie.
For Nick Sanchez, being able to be in the playoffs, he said he loves this format. He loves what it does to the driver. It makes you be right on the edge every single race weekend. But for him, he said, our our momentum is staying the same. What we want to do as a team, and he as a driver, is continue to points race. He feels like if they can keep doing what they've been doing, that they're going to put themselves in a position there to be in it for the Final Four, potentially when we get to Phoenix. And he said for him, growing as a driver has made the biggest difference this season, but he's got to take it just one step at a time. Heather?
And the playoff driver deepest in the field right now is Roger Carruth, running in that 24th position. He originally qualified 8th, but had to start from the back. And before they went green, he told his team, guys, we just need to execute, earn it, and do our job. And speaking of doing his job, this track has been circled for this team for quite some time. They said this is the hardest they've worked in terms of preparation and being here. For Raja, he said, this is the hardest I've worked other than at Coda, with braking techniques, long corners, no banking, and being very precise on where he puts that 71 truck.
19 laps in, Raja has worked his way up to 23rd.
Now he's going after Stuart Friesen, you can see there. Looks like he's moving forward steadily. There's our fastest lap times we're seeing there left of your screen.
Look at Honeycutt, second on the board that last time around.
Yeah, certainly not a runaway. Still less than a 1 second lead for Majeski over Eckes.
It was just over a second, but the last few times around, Eckes has started to make up some ground on our race leader.
There's our race leader, Tom Majeski, off turn 2.
Had a media day this week over the NASCAR building and had all the playoff drivers in, and you could tell Majeski was feeling so good coming to this racetrack. Obviously, you mentioned the home race for him, but probably more experience on this racetrack than any other driver in the field. He's won here before in super late models. Couldn't wait to get here.
And like I said, coming here hot. 2 in a row for that driver team, overcoming troubles on a restart and on pit road, but yet still getting to victory lane the last 2 outings.
Well, he came here hot a year ago too, but they had the problems in practice, had to start at the rear, had a pass-through penalty, had some issues on pit road throughout the race, and through all that, he still finished 7th. In fact, in that race a season ago, he passed 54 trucks. He's made his life a lot easier today by qualifying on the pole and starting out front, but Eckes is hanging right there with him.
I didn't even know there were 54 trucks out there, Adam.
I thought we only started 36.
I know, how'd that happen?
That was a Phil Parsons stat. Look at Sanchez going after Heim for 3rd.
So many great stories in that running order up there on the left of our screen.
You know,
See, the battle here with Sanchez and Heim. We've already talked about Honeycutt, Tanner Gray with a good run here early, and William Swalich hanging around in the 7th position.
You know, we talked at the top of the show about how close it was from 5th on back to 10th. Only 8 points separating that group. We talked about Nick Sanchez and how they needed to chase points. He's only 16 points above the cut line. There's 180 points available in this round, in these 3 races, before we eliminate 2 people and move to the round of 8.
Well, if the caution doesn't fly, this should be pretty simple. They'll run to that 55th lap. But if the caution flies, then all bets are off about who's going to do what.
Almost halfway home in the opening stage here at Milwaukee. Your top 5, Majeski, Eckes, Hines, Sanchez, and Honeycutt. 27 laps to go, stage one for the Craftsman Truck Series here at the Milwaukee Mile. Pole sitter Ty Majeski continues to lead, a near 1 second advantage over second place Christian Eckes. But the battle for third is what we were watching while we were in break. You've got Corey Heim, you've got Nick Sanchez, and it has been tight as they work through some lap traffic.
And that's Caden Honeycutt, just a 2-3 truck lengths behind Nick Sanchez, running fifth right now.
Phil, as a racer, guys that have run this racetrack before, I love what these drivers are going through right now. It's all about finesse at this moment. You're just trying to search around, see how you can just use less wheel input, how you can squeeze that gas down sooner. This is just a chess match right now of trying to figure out how to manipulate your truck and get that thing to grip, and so you can get that gas pedal down eventually.
And get some feedback to your crew chief so you can make some changes at the end of this first stage.
I was going to say, and gain some knowledge for how you want to attack the stages later on in the race, because that final stage can be a long one. There's Tanner Gray, started second, is now running sixth, Jamie.
And after not being inside of the top 10 at the last 7 races, on Monday evening of this week, a change was made in the crew chief position for Tanner Gray. Now calling the shots is Jason Burdett. He's been with Legacy, he was with JRM before that, brings a ton of experience to the table. But this is his very first time crew chiefing in the truck series. So there's been a lot to learn. And this week they did go back to the sim. They did some extra time together just to be able to get up to speed a little bit. But you talk about the changes that you make at the break. This is when the communication comes into play. This team is looking forward. They're not inside of the playoffs. They're looking to grow and build on something for next season. And you said it, they qualified second, so they made quick work of it, right, Heather?
And a similar situation for his brother Taylor Gray, who's currently running in the 14th position. He said he's the most confident he's been coming into the playoffs, but he said our weakness is just that, giving communication and making ourselves significantly better with changes when we're needing to fight back from a bad day. Now, we did see contact earlier when he had a few other trucks around him, and the team just told him, take a deep breath, we'll be okay. So right now, refocus is what Taylor Gray is trying to do.
Across the board, solid day for Tricon. All 4 of their trucks inside the top 15, right behind Taylor Gray. Dean Thompson doing double duty today. Randy Arca race earlier.
Yeah, we talked about Taylor Gray, and a couple laps ago he was in the top 5 on speed. So that's how competitive this truck series field is.
Here you can see how high these trucks are running. It's so strange for me, Phil, to see that pressure pavement down there and people just say, it's not for me.
It doesn't seem right, does it?
There you can see those Tricon garage trucks. Solid performance so far. Been really keeping my eye on William Sawalich after his ARCA run today, and his lap times are right there. He's running in the 7th position.
I know he's only 17, so he should be full of energy and in great shape, but the high temperature today in Milwaukee, right around 90 degrees, so double duty, as hard as you have to work inside these vehicles, could be a bit of a challenge for Sawalich later in the afternoon. We'll keep an eye on him. Great start, though.
You know, these crew chiefs and engineers are furiously looking at what they can do to make their trucks better during this first break here.
Taylor Gray fighting along. Got Dean Thompson right behind him. There you see Ben Rhodes. Spoke to Ben here before the race started, and optimistic, I think cautiously optimistic. Didn't have a great day yesterday, but the 99 is rolling right along in the 13th position.
I would say on a day like today, that's where, and really, as you look at where they are entering the playoffs below the cut line, that's where championship experience really means something when you talk about Ben Rhodes. And I mentioned earlier, Daniel Dye, maybe the most improved driver, 23 to 24.
Close second right here.
I'd say Tyler Ankrum,
yes.
What he has done first year driving for McAnally Hilgeman has been very impressive.
Sure has. Just piled up to top 5s earlier in the season. Went through a bit of a lull, really not of his making, where had some trouble, and then turned it on here at the very end to solidify his spot in the playoffs.
Isn't it cool to see him get it turned around, though? Because we know how good he was early in the season, but then it went away. They're able to rebound right now when it matters. As we look at Daniel Dye with his onboard camera, slipping to the outside of the 04 truck there.
Listen to that throttle, Mike.
Listen, watch his hands, too.
Watch how gingerly he's on this throttle down the corner.
You want to go, but you know you can't.
He's almost straight before he gets full throttle up off the corner. Waving to let competitor know that he appreciated him giving him room.
Yeah, went around the 04 Marco Andretti. Making his 4th start of the year in the Truck Series. Also went around Dexter Bean, Wisconsin native, making his first Truck Series start since 2009.
We have 2 drivers in this field that were in that last race prior to last year that we'd run here in 2009. Dexter Bean is one of them.
And the other, it's a layup. Michael?
Matt Crafton?
Matt Crafton,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, exactly.
Why did you ask me if it was a layup?
Well, I wouldn't have asked you live on the air if it wasn't a layup. I don't like to do that to you. It's a layup for Majeski right now. He's out front with 16 to go on the stage. Closing on 10 laps to go, and stage 1 at the Milwaukee Mile for the CRAFTSMAN Truck Series. We have a new leader, Christian Eckes, in lap traffic, able to drive to the outside of Ty Majeski. Here's how it happened in turn 4.
Did he make it 4 wide here around these lap trucks? Watch this one. Watch that 19 Napa truck.
That's just beautiful right there. He was able to see the high side was going to work. Majeski's truck's really been fading the last few laps, and Eckes was able to pounce and take advantage of that.
I just love the fact when you have a surface that you can run the bottom of the racetrack and you can run 4 lanes up and still find some grip.
I will say this, Eckes to me showing maturity, because he just kind of laid in the weeds, let this stage play out, and when the opportunity presented itself, he pounced, and here he is in position for another stage victory. As we drop back behind him, Caden Honeycutt trying to get 4th away from Nick Sanchez.
Not a big surprise for Caden Honeycutt to be running up in the top 5.
Not at all. We saw the first time he got behind the wheel of one of these trucks, he was so competitive, and you just felt like that he was going to be a guy that could win a race this year. That's how good he's been. You could see he was able to run to the inside of Nick, but Nick rode that high side really strongly and was able to keep that spot.
I think that's where the maximum grip is. It appears is the higher you go, about the 4th lane is about where the maximum grip is.
You know, you only got 20 minutes of practice yesterday. Conditions very similar to what we're seeing today. But right now, is a little bit of an extension of that practice session from the standpoint of you are really learning where things will work for you, right?
And they're running 3 seconds slower than our pole speed. Amazing the fall off that these tires have here. But again, that's the surface. It's not indicative of a problem with the Goodyear tires. It's just this abrasive surface. I mean, this racetrack was built in 1903, in 1800s. They started racing here in 1903, guys. It's probably not the same pavement, though.
I doubt it. Especially that stuff on the bottom that's dark. Listen to Daniel.
Ooh, caution.
Uh-oh. All right, remember I said flippers?
21. Yep.
Get your flippers ready.
Yeah, this is the opportunity.
We're going to see, I think, a couple of our leaders possibly come to pit road.
I think so, too. The guys that really aren't that concerned about points.
It'll be interesting to see because there's so much fall off. Maybe they decide they'll keep those tires until the break just so they have those fewer laps. I think it's a toss-up.
Or it's an opportunity really maybe to put tires on now and drive your way back up into the top 10 if a lot of people don't stop.
21 is Jason Alexander. Got away from him, popped the wall ever so slightly, but enough to produce our first caution of the day.
Yeah, comfortably in the window that these teams would be able to make it to the end of the second stage if they stop early before the end of this first stage.
I think we're going to see a mixed bag. I'm just predicting.
Yeah.
It's my opinion. I've learned, you know, that's what I'm saying. That's my opinion that we're going to see a mixed bag. Not we're going to see, because then as soon as you say that, the crew chiefs will do something different on pit road and that you didn't see coming.
Yeah, and here's where it could be an advantage as we have 21 trucks on the lead lap. Right now, outside the top 10 of our playoff drivers, we have Enfinger and Taylor Gray, Ben Rhodes, and Rajah Caruth. They have the advantage of watching the first 10 trucks in front of them and what they do, and they can decide after that. The crew chief may say, hey, if over half the front 10 come in, then you come in, or you stay out, whatever the case may be.
But remember the fall off we saw at Richmond and how guys that pitted got back inside the top 10. Heck, with only 21 trucks on the lead lap, Phil, I don't know if they start pitting, you better all pit because you're not going to be able to finish in the top 10 because of your tires. We talked about it, 3 seconds off. I think they maybe most all of them come.
I think that'd be a good move.
Mentioned 21 trucks on the lead lap. There'll be 22 when we add Brett Holmes. He'll get the free pass here. First truck 1 lap down.
He was racing Stuart Friesen pretty aggressively for that spot. Was able to get it away from Friesen.
Here we are, race 1 of the playoffs. So let's take you through where we will go.
We're going to fly
head toward Phoenix.
We're going to fly to
and
Bristol.
A championship.
How about that? Bristol in the playoffs in this first round.
And then we're going to go Kansas, and what a racy racetrack this has become. They're going to be 4 wide all over this racetrack.
Elimination race at Kansas. We open the round of 8. Talladega, where anything can happen.
No wild cards there at Talladega for sure.
And another racy 1.5 miles. Homestead, Miami.
And the elimination race that determines the championship 4. How about a Friday night in Martinsville, Virginia?
It's about as flat as this racetrack, too. 1/2 mile.
I cannot wait to get to Martinsville. You talked about Talladega being a wild card. I think the smallest track is one as well.
And we'll wrap the season and crown a champion at Phoenix Raceway. Pit road going to be open. They'll come, if they do, with 4 to go in the stage.
I'm a race fan, Phil, and I'm really excited to see what these crew chiefs tell their drivers they want to do. Pit, 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 I think.
Yeah, I've got to believe with Rajah Caruth, with the fact that he had to start at the back, I think it would, well, here they come.
Pit, 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 pit.
Yeah.
And here they are, Heather.
And Mark Hillman, the crew chief for Tyler Ankrum, said, hey, we're going to do whatever the leaders do. If they split, then it's going to be up to you. But we saw the leaders come in, so the 18 in his box now. He's just saying he's really tight, even with the fans off. So they're going to go 2 up on the track bar, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel. Jamie Howe?
You're up to the top 3, starting off with Corey Heim running 3rd. He said he was pushing pretty hard there in those opening stages, but it just got too tight. He couldn't push any harder, so they're going to adjust some air pressures, give him some better fire off, going up to the number 98, led 42 of those opening laps. And he said, I can turn better, but he said, I can't commit as well as what Christian Eckes can do. So they're making some adjustments for him. And then for Christian, he was pretty tight early on, but it really started to come to him at the end. So just a couple of slight adjustments. Christian said that he's got a good truck, and he's pretty happy with it, guys.
two lead lap trucks stay on the racetrack. Christian Eckes comes in the leader, and he's the first off pit road. Back with a restart in a moment. Back at Milwaukee, I'm going to get a short little run to the finish of stage one. Let's look at what happened to Corey Heim, penalized for speeding on the pit lane, Phil.
Yeah, big mistake there for Corey Heim.
See Heim there.
You see him right there. Well, watch. Well, look at the gap between the front two. Michael, I think this is where the problem is he feels like he needs to catch up, but before he gets to, when he gets to the timing line, actually the first and the second sections, he's speeding.
Yeah, it looked like he might have just misjudged it somehow because it was visibly way faster than the speed limit.
Hey, I'm heartbroken for two reasons. One, because Heim's penalized and now he's got to drop to the rear. And also, we added a lap, which means that one lap shootout we thought we would get to end the stage.
Oh, wow.
We're not going to get it in stage one. We'll end under caution. And the two drivers that stayed out, Ty Dillon, Jake Garcia, are going to benefit here.
That's the first stage win for Ty Dillon, and he's had a fast truck during the course of this race. He drove up to the top 10.
Yeah.
So great strategy there, played it out. It was going to be a terrible strategy if the green flag comes out, but it didn't.
We had this stat before we went to break, and that is that Christian Eckes has not finished outside the top two in a stage since Charlotte in May, Memorial Day weekend. He's going to finish third here in stage one.
That is hard to believe.
That's unbelievable.
Really hard to believe. But it shows the season that Eckes and Corey Heim both have had. Remember, we talk about Eckes winning the regular season championship. Corey Heim lost 54 points at Charlotte when he was disqualified for having too many missing lug nuts. So that battle would have been a lot closer than it was.
If he had won that stage, would have been his 9th stage victory of the year. He doesn't get the win, but he does finish third, and he will be the man in charge when we go green in stage two. And we'll have that for you coming up next. Christian Eckes strong once again here at Milwaukee.
for a restart. In a matter of moments, race fans, stage 1 complete in the LiUNA 175. On pit road now, Wallace Dowden, and the number 33 puts the hood up. And we're seeing one underlining issue with the stall. Light still on the top of the page. Again, way back. Double duty today. All ready on pit road. A lot of hand signals coming off the crew there for Wallace Allen. Now 4 crew members underneath the hood. What looked like a wire they pulled out earlier. Then we saw a fire extinguisher come out. Now they're frantically working on the edge. There goes another car that they threw off onto the pit road. And now they'll talk to Wallace Allen, and Jonathan mentioned his second race of the day. Now a crew member through the passenger side window. Not sure what they're trying to fix right there, but you can definitely tell.
7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady makes his long-awaited NFL on Fox debut. He joins Kevin Burkhardt, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi for the season opener, Cowboys-Browns, September 8th, only on Fox.
The GOAT.
Doesn't that music just get you juiced for a little football?
Won't be long.
Well, we had week 0 this weekend
Yeah.
for college, so some good games yesterday, and we'll just ease right into it.
Little action.
There's American Family Field in the distance.
Ah, good call, Adam.
And El Central leading Brewers home field advantage there.
I've been there.
You've been
That
to all
ballpark.
of them, haven't you?
Well, not all of them, but I've been to that one.
There's the stage point breakdown, and this is something that is huge as we look throughout the playoffs and who's gaining what they need to advance. Christian Eckes, I'm not sure he needed to put more money in the bank, but he did. Finish 3rd, got 8 stage points, and Ty Majeski right there with him. They'll be on the front row for the restart here in stage 2 as both Dillon and Sanchez, or excuse me, Garcia have now made their pit stops.
Remember, Daniel Dye was below the cut line 4 points during that stage.
Gonna come to the start-finish line and choose her up.
Are you a little surprised, as dominant as the outside is, that Christian Eckes took the inside?
I don't know. I think when you get that leap, you know, and you can start
Especially on
first
new tires.
On new tires,
Yeah.
you can try to get yourself in a position to have that nose out ahead of the guy that's second, and then you can just wash up a little bit. You don't want to be too obvious with it, but you can kind of wander up the hill a little bit and take that groove away.
But you go back to the start of the race, Majeski on the pole takes the inside lane, and that wasn't always the case here last year on
Sure
restarts.
wasn't.
So
It was not.
I was a little surprised at that, even though we didn't draw attention to it. And then once he jumped right out front off turn 2, there was no need to make mention of it.
Yeah, but we've shown now that the groove has moved way up the hill. So I'm going to be curious to see, as long as Majeski gets a good run, what kind of grip he's going to have down there in 1 and 2. Again, new tires, low air pressure for all these trucks right now.
Going to add a lap here. I think we still had some trucks on pit road when we were doing the choose, so got to let everything cycle through. Majeski started on the pole today, led the first 42 laps. Eckes took the lead away from him in lap traffic, led the next 11. Caution came out, front runners pit. Ty Dillon takes over. He's led 6 laps today. Let's get a couple of updates from pit road. We start with Jamie.
See Daniel Dye there, that number 43, running inside of the top 6 right now. And for Daniel, he had this race circled as one that wasn't a throwaway, but it's one that he's not really looking forward to. Why? Well, because it's so flat, and he feels like as a driver, he doesn't get very good feedback. They don't make very good changes. He put a lot of thought into that in practice and qualifying yesterday, and they've been able to steadily make some progress here. So even though he didn't have high expectations, today is certainly turning things around for that young driver. Heather?
And for Ben Rhodes in that first run, he said he was just a little tight, so the team took some wedge out and did an air pressure adjustment. But somewhat of a concern here for the 99. During the last run, that truck completely shut off on him. Now, it only happened once, so as crew chief Doug Randolph said, if we had an issue with an alternator, it would have got worse. If we were having a fuel pressure issue, it would have gotten worse. But something we'll keep an eye on here with the 99.
A few trucks took the wave around to get back on the lead lap, most notably Stuart Friesen, Connor Jones, Chase Purdy.
Got a truck stalled here. This is a caution that won't ever end, Phil. We thought we were going to go back racing to end the stage. That didn't happen, and now we just want to go back racing.
It's going to turn into about a 15-lap caution.
We thought we were going to get a shootout to end stage 1. We might get one to end stage 2 right here, you know. Dexter Bean from Wisconsin stopped on track.
I just kind of wanted to say Dexter Bean, and stepped on you a little bit there, Adam.
But you got it out. That's
yeah,
good.
I did. He's from Wisconsin, and now he's got his truck fired back up.
Mention those trucks that took the wave around. We're going to have 28 trucks. They get 27 trucks on the lead lap when we go back green. We did get the one to go there. Drove around Dexter Bean, and this time we're going to go green. How about it?
Hopefully, let's do it.
We feel good about it. The lights are out on the safety truck. Everybody seems to be lined up in a uniform fashion. I think it's all set, Adam.
What can Majeski do with Eckes?
Look who's lurking there in third. We talk about his prowess on the short tracks. Layne Riggs has creeped into inside of row 2.
Quiet kid, quietly performing today is Layne Riggs.
Great pit work, too, by that crew.
That will be a factor throughout the afternoon. Front row for the restart, Eckes and Majeski. 19 in control as we begin the second stage here at Milwaukee.
There's that bit of a nose out on Majeski for Eckes. Makes it work. Slides up like I mentioned, and here comes on the inside Layne Riggs. He's going to grab that second spot.
How about that inside line working for these guys?
I got 2 words for you. Playoff spoiler. Layne Riggs, top 5 for the last 7 races. First time he's been to Milwaukee, and he is showing out in the 38.
Tanner Gray doing well is also running in the 5th spot behind Sanchez.
Yeah, Tanner qualified front row, drifted back 6th, 7th, but he's right back up there inside the top 5, and right behind him his brother Taylor Gray, who spent a good portion of stage 1 outside the top 10, but here he is in the 17.
And not a surprise to see that yellow 88 of Matt Crafton right against the inside curve there.
Yeah, he likes that bottom, and man, he's making it work too. Crafton with a nice run here in Milwaukee.
If you're going to do it, you need to do it on new tires. I think as the tires get older and hotter, that bottom might not be as good, but Crafton's making it work right now.
You know, and that opens other drivers and spotters' eyes. Those spotters are saying, man, Matt's making it work on the bottom. No, that's an option if you can make it work.
You know Crafton's motivated, right? Because 3-time champion, missed the playoffs for the first time in his career. He'd love to come in here and win race 1. Remind everybody he's not going away.
He had a solid race here last year. Finished up in the top 10.
Drives up to the 7th position, trying to size up Taylor Gray.
Jeff Hensley's made Taylor Gray's truck better, and his pit crew did a nice job too. I tell you, week in, week out, the Tricon bunch, really all their trucks are among the very best in the series on pit stops.
And you know, when we talked to Taylor earlier this week at the NASCAR building, he shared with us he feels a little bit like an underdog, and he came in here with a 1-point advantage over the cut line. So just go out, let it rip. And that's what he's doing so far today.
And you talk about the adjustments that his crew chief Jeff Hensley just made. He told Taylor just before the green flag dropped, we should fire off better, and we're seeing that right now. He said the closer we get to the front, the better the turn in the center will be for us.
Again, Jeff Hensley was the crew chief for Grant Enfinger's dominant win last year. He's done such a great job over here at Tricon with Taylor Gray this season.
Well, let's go to the other side of that, because last year Enfinger not only won the race, but started on the pole, led 95 laps. He wins both stages. But this weekend, not near as good. Qualified outside the top 10, and they've kind of hung right there around 10th. Been somewhat of a disappointment as we go through the first portion of this race.
But watch this team make the adjustments. The experience of Grant, his knowledge of this racetrack. Watch them get better and better as this race winds down. He knows he's a veteran. He knows everything he needs to do to maximize 175 laps.
Yeah, no stage points for Grant Enfinger.
Look at him work that wheel. You see all those abrupt motions with the wheel? His foot's probably, I would say it's just the opposite. He's just laying on it, squeezing it, just trying to nurse that fuel, that gas pedal to the floor so he can get the power down.
It's amazing the different techniques from all these drivers. Like Corey Heim, you won't see him hardly. He'll turn the wheel a little bit left. You won't see him go back and forth like Grant Enfinger is. We watched him during practice yesterday. Same kind of situation. There's Jeff Stankowicz's crew chief. What a great job they've been doing here lately. Seemed like about a third of the way through the season, they just turned it up about 3 notches and have been strong ever since.
I like in the way the driver uses his steering wheel. I mean, think back to Mark Martin. He would take a hand off the wheel and wrap it all the way around to the left. It's like a golf swing. You know, some golf swings are different than others, but you can get results depending on no matter what your swing is like to a certain extent.
What's your swing like?
Let's go back to Grant. He really likes to work that wheel aggressively. You mentioned it, Corey, and some of the other drivers do it a lot differently.
Eckes not able to drive away from Layne Riggs.
Yeah, he's going to try to honk the horn.
Yeah, they've moved out to about a second-half margin over Majeski right now, running third. Look how high Eckes is.
That's what I love about this track, man. You got options. Oh, Layne way out wide off turn 2.
You just wonder if you can jump the cushion here. Can you get too wide?
I haven't seen it yet, have we?
I haven't.
I guess we got it. You know, you got to think after the way Riggs has performed in the last 6-8 races, this is a win waiting to happen. He hasn't been really in a position like this to grab the lead and drive off in dominating fashion. Maybe today's his day.
Enfinger 9, Dean Thompson in the 5. He's been strong today.
Yeah, Dean Thompson doing double duty, ran the ARCA race earlier. Had a top 10 finish.
You know, he's been top 10 in 3 of the last 6 races so late in the regular season. And they had too many rough rides early to overcome, try to get in the playoffs. But he has had a strong finish to the regular season and opening up the playoffs with a nice performance as well. Let's go back to Corey Heim, had the speeding penalty. Restarts in the rear, but here's the 11, already back to the top 15 and working over Sammy Smith in the 7.
Just got around Matt Mills in the 42. Now he's going to heat up Sammy.
We'll keep it side by side as we go to break. Christian Eckes, the race leader, over Layne Riggs and Ty Majeski. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon at the Wisconsin State Fair Park, live at the Milwaukee Mile, playoff opener for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Christian Eckes leading, and back behind him, they're getting after it. Jack Wood, 99, 52, Stuart Friesen, 77, Chase Purdy.
Yeah, these guys are racing for position too, and racing hard for position.
They're going to fight that 66 truck. Is that? Yeah, that's Connor Hall. Invite him to the party as well.
That's a group of drivers that took the wave around. They could use a caution, right? And so if they're not careful, they're going to create one of their own.
See Jack Wood making a nice move to the inside of Chase Purdy. GoPro, new sponsor on board, that 91 for Jack Wood.
It's Connor Jones. I said Hall, I meant Jones.
We've had a lot of Connors.
Yeah, there's Connors everywhere.
We've had way too many Connors,
a lot of
haven't
Connors.
we?
A lot of Connors.
Yeah, I see that 91 for Jack Wood, and it reminds me of a story that Christian Eckes told us at Media Day earlier this week. And he talked about Zane Smith coming over and driving that truck early in the season, and all the experience that he brings at a championship level in a truck, and the knowledge that he transferred to this team, and what that means in their quest to go for a championship here in 2024.
Yeah, Christian said that was the most important thing they had all year long was and then the processes too, not only just his knowledge, but the process and how they do. Remember, he's a champion here in the series with Front Row Motorsports, the team that Scott Riggs' son, Layne Riggs, is driving for right now, running second. Jack doing a nice job here running up. Remember, Stuart Friesen actually got lapped, got the wave around, got back on the lead lap. Right now, these guys battling for around the 20th spot.
Battling around the 20th spot. And a couple of laps ago, I noticed the top 5 speed for Jack Wood in that 91 truck. So he's done a good job today, like you mentioned, Phil. Just so competitive. Lose a little bit of track position, and next thing you know, it's hard to make any progress.
McAnally Hilgeman Racing right there with Christian Eckes leading. Daniel Dye doing a great job running up in the top 10, as well as Tyler Rankin. 3 trucks make the playoffs. There are 3 full-time trucks make the playoffs for McAnally, Bill McAnally, Hilgeman Racing.
Well, you go to a 4-truck team, you put 3 of them in the playoffs. We talked about the improvements for both Dye and Ankrum, and Eckes wins the regular season championship, and he's got 3 victories. I mean, they're checking all the boxes in 24.
Pair of Grays Racing.
Brotherly love for 5th and 6th.
Tanner just ahead of Taylor.
I'll tell you, Jeff Hensley has made this 17 truck better for Taylor Gray.
That's got to be a great feeling. I talked about the experience and the knowledge behind the wheel of Grant Enfinger. Well, flip that. Have a guy like Jeff Hensley on the box. These veteran crew chiefs can figure out ways to help things as well, listening to the input from their drivers. Even if they are inexperienced, they can hear what the driver's saying, and they can make changes appropriately.
And remember, we reported new crew chief for Tanner Gray as we take a look at Rajah Caruth getting by Jake Garcia. Jason Burdett calling the shots now for Tanner Gray, 18-time winner in the Xfinity Series with JRM.
Rajah up to 18th now, Heather.
And an area of improvement for him this season that he's been working on is the short tracks. He told me that he's proud of himself, though, on the gains that he's made as far as being disciplined. But right now, his spotter telling him, you're getting beat in the center of the corner. Now, these corners are completely different, so it's quite the challenge for these drivers to hit their marks each time around each circuit.
Look how high he goes. Man, that's about as high as we've seen. You mentioned jumping the cushion, Phil, which is something that we usually will see on a short track like this, but so far it looks like you can go all the way up to the wall.
Ty Majeski up to 2nd, went by Layne Riggs to get that runner-up spot.
Wow.
Heavy traffic. They both go by the 22 truck. Majeski's able to take advantage of that and grab that 2nd spot.
Bit of a squeeze play there, and look at the distance that Majeski has put on Riggs.
Here comes Sanchez.
Yeah, all of a sudden that 38 that was so strong to begin this stage going in the wrong direction. Lost 2nd, now 3rd, and looking in the rearview mirror at Nick Sanchez, who's strong in the 2 today. It's
got to be a good feeling for Nick. having the kind of speed to run up there and see, check on them leaders, if you will.
About 20 laps away from the end of this stage. Looks like maybe Dylan Capella, the crew chief for Layne Riggs. He knows what that truck will do now on this kind of a run. Might have to make some changes so that truck will last a little bit longer. Remember, a little bit longer third stage than both first and second stage. 65 laps for stage 3.
For Layne Riggs, qualified outside the top 15 to be running top 5 late stage 2. Pretty good spot to be in. Christian Eckes leads, 21 to go. Second stage at Milwaukee. .16 laps to go, stage 2, Craftsman Truck Series at the Milwaukee Mile. Christian Eckes out front. He's led 46 laps today. So let's pay off. He's led a lap again in a race. He's done so in every race this year. Remarkable stat. He's led over 800 laps this season. When you add what he's done here today, that's more in the rest of his career combined coming in to 2024. So very, very impressive what he's been able to do.
And I had a little news, Adam, I was going to drop on you, but I didn't want to bust it too early.
What's that?
I talked to Eckes this morning. He said, I'm really happy with my truck. Now, if you watch the truck series, you know he never says that. And I think the last time he said it was in Nashville.
Led every lap.
Led every lap.
Every single lap.
And won the race. So, I mean, it doesn't make good TV to break that right now, but these guys know what they're up against when Christian Eckes says he likes his truck.
You couldn't wait, though, could you?
I couldn't wait to share.
Well, I would say he's underachieving because he hasn't led every lap today.
Look at that lane.
Layne?
Lane that you're taking.
Is that L-A-N-E or L-A-Y?
Both. Yes is the answer to that. It's fun to watch, I'll tell you that. As a racer, you want options. We can see they have them today.
Sanchez would love to get that spot before the end of the stage, grab another point. See 6 of our playoff drivers right now up in the top 10 in stage point positions. And the rest of them are right there behind it. The only one outside the top 13 is Rajat Karuth right now running 18th.
Remember when we took the truck to North Wilkesboro All-Star Weekend and how they ran all the way out next to the outside wall on a short track? These truckers, they know how to look for grit. This is a great battle.
Strong move by Nick to the inside. Not quite able to hold the throttle down there.
Last 4 races for Nick, only 1 top 10 finish. So running up toward the front at playoff time, that's really important.
You know, he was great here a year ago, and unfortunately got turned around, hit the wall, didn't get the finish he deserved. That happened late in the race, but he's come back here today and once again reminded everybody how good he is at this style of racing. And I had forgotten just how close he was at making the championship 4 a season ago as a rookie, Nick Sanchez. And we said it earlier, 2 wins in his sophomore campaign, and he has performed at a very high level. Heather?
And to update on Grant Enfinger, he told me that this race truck, they just haven't been able to get the balance right in practice yesterday or today. They are still struggling. So his crew chief, Jeff Stankiewicz, said, hey, your entry speed looks comparable to the leaders, but center off is where we are lacking. So we're going to look for them to make a change at the stage break on this next pit stop. He said, we're not making any gains with what we're doing. So a change in the track bar upcoming for Grant Enfinger. Jamie Howe?
An update on Corey Heim, who we saw running inside the top 3. He's been able to move up 8 positions since he had that penalty for speeding on pit lane. The team telling him right now with just over 10 laps to go in this stage just to keep digging. They said track position is going to be everything in the 3rd and final stage. So they want him to just keep pushing, ticking him off as best as he can. He was the fastest truck out on the racetrack for a couple of laps here in the middle of the 2nd stage, but starting to fall off a little bit to the end. They're going to keep digging away and see what they can do.
Yeah, I think Corey Heim will rely on that pit crew that's been so solid week in, week out. A lot of spots to be gained on pit road here.
And the good news for Heim, if he can't get back to the top 10 and get some stage points here, he entered today's race plus 39. So we know what he's capable of, and that advantage gives you a little grace when you have a penalty like they did on that pit stop earlier. Down to 9 laps remaining. The lead for Christian Eckes, almost 3 seconds in front of Ty Majeski. Layne Riggs continues in 3rd. Then 4 consecutive playoff drivers: Sanchez, Taylor Gray, Daniel Dye, Tyler Ankrum, Tanner Gray, Matt Crafton, Caden Honeycutt complete the top 10.
And then there's 3 more playoff racers just outside the top 10. Tyler Ankrum just got around Tanner Gray to move up a spot.
There's a battle right there inside the top 10. See Crafton trying to get around the 15 of Tanner Gray. That's a battle for the 8th spot.
Just ahead of them, you saw Tyler Ankrum up there. Man, this is some tight racing. Caden Honeycutt wanting to join this party.
See if he can make it his way around the outside of Crafton. Crafton's been running the bottom of the racetrack since we restarted this race, and he's going to grab that spot from Tanner Gray.
Spencer Boyd there in the mix, trying to give these guys plenty of racing room. It's hard to hide at this racetrack, though, isn't it, Phil?
Sure is.
You don't know what groove a guy's going to want. But the good thing is, when you catch a lapper like Spencer, you get there, you can just pick a lane and go where he isn't.
This driver's not getting a break today. Only 1 caution. A lot of laps under green. Got to execute. And it was about this point in stage 1 when we had our only caution. Jason Alexander got into the wall.
See, Grant Enfinger has joined that battle. Again, stage points available. There's Grant right there trying to move to the inside of Honeycutt. Honeycutt's trying to get underneath Spencer Boyd. Just couldn't get the throttle down, could he, Mike?
That's because I think Boyd was in the lane that Honeycutt wanted, so he squeezed down, and that forced that forced Grant to try to squeeze down as well.
Hey, Enfinger came in 5 points above the cut line. No margin for error. You'll take every point you can get. Might need it in a few weeks' time when we head to Kansas in that elimination race. By the way, Enfinger has won at 4 of the 7 playoff races. We talked about what he did here at Milwaukee a season ago, but he's won at 4 of the 7 playoff tracks. So that bodes well for him if he can put all the pieces together.
Really, once as you see the 45 of Honeycutt loose into the corner, slipping and sliding, Enfinger would love to grab that spot here with just 4 to go in the 2nd stage.
He knows he can reach out and See 2 points right there in front of him.
Timmy Hill in that 56 truck right ahead of this battle. That's making it more difficult for these guys to make a moves on one another. But look at Enfinger way down to the bottom, sliding up in the middle. Has he got this spot?
He's got back in the throttle. You see Tim Hill up there. Is there going to be a truck in between them?
No.
He's got it. Got that spot and a point.
Enfinger to 10th with 3 laps to go in the stage.
And you think those points don't matter? Each individual point? What happened to Nick Sanchez last year, Adam?
Yeah, lost in a tiebreaker to Ben Rhodes. That was to go to the championship 4.
And who won the championship?
Ben Rhodes qualified
Gotcha.
on the tiebreaker after finishing 2nd at Talladega in Miami last year.
That was a layup, Phil.
You can ask me the hard stuff, okay? Lap and a half to go for Eckes. Looking for his 9th stage win of 2024.
It would be his 10th if everything had gone normal at the end of stage 1.
But I'll update, he hasn't finished worse than 3rd in a stage since Charlotte in May. Even though he finished 3rd, it's still a very impressive stat. Final lap, stage 2 at Milwaukee.
7 of our playoff drivers in point-paying positions here in this stage. Grant Enfinger just grabbed that last one.
Why was he the regular season champion? Because he's always at the front. For Christian Eckes, through turns 3 and 4, he's going to see that green and white checkered flag. He has won 6 of the last 10 stages, and he delivers in our 2nd stint here at Milwaukee.
Impressive run here for Eckes.
Eckes wins it. Majeski 2nd. Riggs in the top 5. Same for Sanchez and Taylor Gray. Pit stops when we come back to the Milwaukee Mile. Football beginning Saturday on Fox.
Week 0. We're week 0 right now.
And this will be week 1, and it gets serious. We got great matchups all over the board, and a nice way to start it in Morgantown, West Virginia. Stage points handed out today. Christian Eckes padding that cushion he had coming in. Good days for Majeski, Sanchez, much needed points for Daniel Dye and Taylor Gray.
Big pit stops coming here, Adam.
Huge pit stops. They're heading your way, Heather.
And Taylor Gray will bring it in that 5th position. He told his team he felt good about the balance, just a little on the snug side, but he said the drive off is incredible. So Jeff Hensley's going to give him a little bit more track bar, a little air, and restated the closer we get to the front, the better we'll be. Jamie?
We're going to go to the number 2. That is Nick Sanchez. He told his crew chief, Kevin Mannion, he said, my entry feels perfect. He doesn't think he can roll as much speed, but he doesn't think it's enough that he wants to make any big changes and compromise anything. So basically 4 tires and fuel for the number 98. That is Ty Majeski. One of the things that Joe Shear Jr., his crew chief, told him, he said, I hate to tell you this, but I think I was off on my right front geometry. So they're having to work through that. It doesn't have quite the same speed that Christian Eckes has. And for Christian, he said that he was a little bit tight at the end of that stage. That's what they were expecting in terms of the tires they put on the truck. That was another tremendous pit stop for them. And his crew chief, Charles Denike, said, this one's going to be better. Let's just go for the win now.
Eckes has that number 1 pit stall after winning the pole at Richmond last time out. I mean, he hadn't been challenged yet, so impressive work there. Eckes will be the leader when we come back for the final stage.
Get on the edge of your seat.
We are ready to go racing.
Come get you a checkered flag here, man.
It's the opening race of the playoffs as 10 drivers begin their quest for a title in the Craftsman Truck Series. We are live at the Milwaukee Mile and all set for the final stage here. With Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons, I'm Adam Alexander, Heather DeBoe, Jamie Howe on the pit lane. Christian Eckes, the race leader, as we do the choose.
Eckes, again, no surprise, goes to the bottom. It worked for him last time.
You know, Matt Crafton, that bright yellow truck's going to the bottom. We've seen him there all day.
Hey, how hard to be as dominant as the 19 is? Everybody's chasing you. Where's the balance on adjustment there? Because everybody else is going to make some changes because they have to if they're going to get around the 19.
And you're a little bit hesitant because that truck is so good to make any changes. I know we talked a lot about that kind of thing, but I think Charleston Ike and Christian Eckes are on the same page there. And we've seen how dominant he's been in so many of these. What led over 900 laps this year?
Over 800, yeah.
Over 800. So I think they've made the right changes at the right time.
Front row, Eckes and Riggs, and a whole bunch of playoff drivers lined up behind them. You win, you advance to the round of 8. 56 to go, final stage from Milwaukee.
What a jump.
Look at Majeski right on the tailgate of Eckes. He wants to grab that second spot from Riggs. If not first, if not first.
Majeski to the inside. 98 jumps out front on the restart.
And Layne Riggs is going to try to follow suit. He's inside of Eckes in that 19.
Taylor Gray getting aggressive. How about the effort for Corey Heim on pit road? He's back in the top 5 after the penalty.
Gained 5 spots on pit road and about 5 more. It looked like getting into turn 1. He went way high and made a move there. Great run for Heim.
Matt Mills had a problem, saw him into the wall. He's able to keep it straight, and we remain green.
Look, it's Layne Riggs going to try to go for the lead on Majeski.
Little bump down into turn 3 for Riggs. And then he tries to flare up to the high side.
Eckes was down, yeah, right down there next to the grass.
Look who's rebounding after a bit of a slow start here.
Christian Eckes says, I am back. From first to third on the restart, but knocking on the door of that runner-up position again.
And Corey Heim says, I am back as well. He is right there after that speeding penalty at the end of stage 1.
Talking about Matt Mills having a problem. Look at Matt. Did he get a little bit of a nudge by Raja? Maybe a little bit of a nudge from Raja. Makes contact with the outside safer barrier.
Sometimes that wall's your friend, Phil. It just sent him right back in the proper direction as you look at a battle for the lead way up the racetrack.
Riggs is there.
He is moving Majeski up the hill. Look at Christian Eckes says, go Layne, go Layne.
Layne Riggs takes over the top spot. All clear off of turn 4, and here comes Eckes. Can't get there for second.
This is good stuff here at Milwaukee.
New leader, possible playoff spoiler like you were talking about, Adam.
But it's so important at a place like this to take control of the race. Meanwhile, back behind him for 5th, you got Sanchez in the 2. The 17 is Taylor Gray. Both championship eligible.
See Sanchez, nice move through the center of the corner, put a couple truck links on that 17. See Tyler Ankrum coming up from behind, trying to grab that spot as the battle for second continues.
Now that we're in the final stage, we update our playoff leaderboard. And as of now, no one would lock themselves in to the next round because it's a non-playoff guy leading, Layne Riggs.
Remember, Daniel Dye came in here seated 10th. And look at him now, 9 points above the cut line.
And look at Caruth, came in +5, but after starting in the back, fighting that truck throughout the day, is dropped below -8 as we run on track with 50 to go.
Well, Phil, you said it at the top of the show, just 8 points separated 5 guys. You knew there was going to be so much movement around the playoff bubble. That's what we've seen.
The battle for 11th right here. Grant Enfinger has 11th. That's Matt Crafton against the yellow curb, as usual, running 12th.
Was that a shift I heard?
Sure sounded like Grant Enfinger shifted. These trucks get down so low, speed-wise and RPM-wise in the center of the corner, that I think some of these guys are shifting.
Now, the racing is so good. If we go to break, we got to do it side by side, and we will. 49 laps to go in Milwaukee. It's Layne Riggs showing the way. .44 laps to go for the Craftsman Truck Series here at the Milwaukee Mile. Scott Riggs leading Ty Majeski, Christian Eckes, Nick Sanchez, and Corey Heim. Let's get an update on our race leader. Here's Jamie Howe.
Well, for Layne Riggs, remember that last stage, he sat behind Christian Eckes for a number of laps, and one of the things he learned was that he felt like he was way too tight, but as he watched Christian Eckes be able to drive off the corner, he said, I'm way too tight to be able to drive the same way that he is. So when he came in for that stop, they made some pretty big adjustments to try and get on the other side of that. He's told the team now it's pretty good with only 43 laps to go. We'll see if he can hold on to it.
And Grant Enfinger, he started this stage in the 10th position, but he's dropped a few to that 13th position right now. And I mentioned that they've really struggled with the balance of this car. They tried to move the track bar up to help, but Grant telling his crew chief, Jeff Stankiewicz, it is 5 times worse now. I have no right rear grip.
That's tough on this racetrack. I talked to a couple of the drivers and asked them what the biggest challenge was. And we've heard it with the gas pedal. We've seen it with the hands. That's getting the power down and getting that grip up off the turns. And that's what Grant is struggling with. You'd love to see a caution here before this race ends and make another adjustment. Throwing on a set of tires.
Yeah, we have another set of tires on pit road. This is about the time in the race last year that most of the field came to pit road when the caution came out. And then we ran green from then on. That's when Grant Enfinger, as you mentioned, Michael, restarted 14th and drove up to the lead and the win.
Caden Honeycutt got around Enfinger. Now he's going after Crafton. Crafton's giving up the ghost on the bottom for now. It's up there in the normal groove, it seems.
Been a solid year for that 45 truck. Talked about the success for Honeycutt. Ross Chastain won behind the wheel at Darlington earlier this season.
when you talk about Matt changing his line, he changed it by about 50 feet in the corner. He went from the bottom of the racetrack to about the 4th lane up.
Got a report that Matt's been shifting a lot, which would make sense. I talked about we hearing maybe Grant shifting gears. That makes sense that with that low line, maybe Matt could shift gears because he doesn't have such a wound up truck around the top.
Get it bogged down a little bit more down on the bottom of the racetrack.
A couple guys shifting, but we've listened in on Grant Enfinger's truck during break, and he wasn't shifting consistently, maybe just with lap traffic and such.
39 to go. 8 of our top 10 playoff eligible. But the race leader is not. Layne Riggs, who's been rolling throughout the latter part of the season. Top 5 and 4 of the last 7. We know what an ace he is on short tracks, and while Milwaukee is not considered a short track, it races a whole lot like one, and he's been impressive here today. After qualifying outside the top 15, really since the beginning of stage 2, he has been a player.
Phil and I consider it a short track. It drives just like one. Just got some pretty good speed. A lot of grooves too.
Yeah, I love this racetrack.
See there in our pylon, Daniel Dye has been running 5th, 6th, 7th, and there he's dropped to 10th. He's got to try to get a little aggressive here at the end of the race, get some spots back. As Layne, he's going to have his hands full for Eckes. We've seen that truck and Majeski. We've seen those 2 trucks run well in the long run, but for right now, I think the improvements Layne has made to that 38 truck has put him in a good spot.
Well, we've only had 2 cautions, and with that, lap traffic has been a factor. We saw it in stage 1. Majeski's leading, loses the top spot to Christian Eckes when they're racing in lap traffic. We saw it again for the runner-up spot when Majeski got Layne Riggs there in stage 2. So that'll be something that will bear out if we stay green here.
There's a battle for that 9th position. Looks like right now Daniel's a little bit better than Tanner Gray.
It seems like it would be so easy. There's so much room on this racetrack just to go ahead and drive by him, but it's, believe me, it's not.
Look at that little gentle nudge to the back of the 15. Now can he dive in the corner and get this pass made?
Can he get the grip down there? Listen to him out of the throttle. He's barely feeding the throttle, and I think he's got that pass done.
Oh, very nice move. Just was a little tentative about throwing it out there in front of Gray.
That was considerate of him not to just take it away from Tanner. Now Tanner's going to try to fight back on the bottom. It's going to be hard to make it work down there, I think.
Who's in 8th, just ahead of Dye? We haven't talked a lot about our buddy Ben Rhodes. Said he needed some improvements to that truck when I talked to him this morning. Said it just thought it had something for the long run. We've had a lot of long runs today, but finally surging up inside the top 10.
He just stays in the game, doesn't he?
He does. It's amazing.
Just singles, drives that ball right down the middle. And I would say, you know, we were talking about Daniel Dye. Felt like one of the biggest differences with Daniel this year compared to last year is he doesn't try to hit the Hail Mary. He just takes what the track and the truck gives him, and that's why he's in the position he's in right now. Came in just below the cut line. Doesn't have a truck that's going to win today, but just like Ben Rhodes, hits it right down the middle, stays in the game. Ben 1 below, but Daniel Dye has helped himself +7 as we run with 33 to go.
You know, Phil, I talked about, you said how tight things were around the cutoff line. We're going to leave here and say the same thing next time we go racing. It's not going to be any different.
And we're going to Bristol.
I love going to Bristol. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Just over 30 laps remaining at Milwaukee. It continues to be Layne Riggs in front of Majeski and Eckes. Going to be 27 laps remaining at Milwaukee for race leader Layne Riggs. He's out in front of a whole bunch of playoff drivers. Let's get some updates there from pit road, starting things off with Jamie Howe.
I'm going to start things off with that driver that's currently running into second place. That's Ty Majeski. As he's running right now, he's been able to make up 43 playoff points, even though he's on back-to-back wins right now. And just in talking to the team, they've been slowly picking away at it all day. Mentioned the fact that his crew chief, Joe Shear Jr., thought the geometry might be off a little bit, but Ty said this is a team effort. We're just going to keep working through this. It's exactly what he's done. Go back to the number 19. That's Christian Eckes. He was in clean air, having led 71 laps of this race so far. So for Eckes on that last stop, they didn't make the big adjustments that a lot of the other competitors did. Now he's in the dirty air. He's having to work through it. For Nick Sanchez, he's been able to slowly just make some gains all day, and that was really his goal coming into the race and into this first playoff appearance. He said, I don't have to win today in order to make it into the top 8. He said, I just have to just keep going and doing what we've done all season long, and he slowly just picked away at it. Or the number 11, that tremendous pit stop they had, able to make up 5 positions. Talking to Scott Zipadelli, he said, I didn't think it was honestly that great of a pit stop, but I'm thankful it was because track position is so important here. He said, we made some pretty big gains, and you see him now back inside of the top 5. Those gains seem to have worked. Heather?
And Taylor Gay running in that 6th position. His crew chief Jeff Hensley told him just a few laps ago he's really proud of him at keeping his head cool and staying in the game after he had contact really early in the race. He also feels confident enough that if they could just get out front or even get a caution, they could win this thing. But we'll follow up with the 18 in the 7th position, Tyler Ingram. He's been quiet over the radio the last few laps, but he has battled a tight handling condition on the 18. But tonight, he said he's proud to be here at Milwaukee representing his sponsor, LiUNA. They have a lot of fans in attendance hanging out on pit road here, supporting him throughout this entire race. In the 99 of Ben Rhodes, he's running in that 8th position. He just radioed over to his team that something's not right. This just does not feel good. So the team is at attention right now. They were up on pit wall waiting to see if they needed to have him come down pit road to address the issue, but I've been listening to the radio and haven't heard anything further there for Ben Rhodes.
Well, for Daniel Dye, still inside of the top 10. We've seen him run up inside of the top 6 so far today. He's back in 9th right now. The team telling him, don't worry about it. There's still over 20 laps to go in this race. Your focus needs to be out the windshield. One of the things Daniel said as he got ready for this playoff appearance is the fact that his teammate Christian Eckes is giving him those little bitty pointers. He said, you can't start to win races with little pointers, but you can put 10 of them together, and all of a sudden that's a big adjustment. So that's what he was focusing on coming into this weekend. Adam?
Some great reports on those playoff drivers that find themselves inside the top 10 late, but they're chasing Layne Riggs. This youngster trying to win for the first time in his career, and we're getting down to it. Take me behind the wheel. What's the thought process? How's he feeling?
Well, just I think confident. He knows how to get it done on the short tracks, and this is how you drive this track. And he knows how good he's been lately running up front week in, week out. I think he believed when he started this season he could do just this, go to victory lane. This truck is a proven winner. It's a championship truck, and he is doing the job behind the wheel that he needs to be doing right now at this point in the year.
And remember, he's a national champion, weekly short track champion too. So we talk about his short track prowess. He's a Cars Tour champion as well. So he knows how to run these short tracks.
And with an advantage of 1.3 seconds over Ty Majeski, the last thing he wants to see is a caution. Let it run out green, as we have now hit our Craftsman 20 to go, and Layne Riggs is the race leader.
And there's about 9 other playoff drivers that want to see that caution, Adam. They want to see that chance to come to pit road, get a fresh set of tires, make that final adjustment, and go roll those sleeves up and get after it.
21 trucks on the lead lap. 4 different leaders in this race today. Mentioned downstairs a minute ago, Christian Eckes has led the most at 71. Ty Majeski's led 45 laps from the pole. Riggs out front now has been in charge of the field for 34 laps. And that cycle at the end of stage 1 put Ty Dillon in front for 6 circuits.
I think Layne Riggs right now just holding his breath that we stay green, has a comfortable second half lead on this 98 of Majeski.
We'll take a break, come back for the finish. 18 laps separating Layne Riggs and his first career win in the Craftsman Truck Series. Layne Riggs did an unbelievable job grabbing the lead on a restart to begin the final stage, and now he manages lap traffic. 13 laps to go for the driver out of North Carolina who's trying to win for the first time in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Adam,
that rear
he's
mirror,
coming.
Adam.
He's coming.
And that's what a driver that's trying to win their first race. That's the last thing he wants to see. A guy like Tom Majeski, we've talked so much about his experience and his knowledge of short track racing. He's tracking him down. It's got to be a bit of a distraction for Riggs when you're getting caught like that.
Taylor Gray, Corey Heim for 5th.
Battle of Tricon Garage teammates.
Now Heim came in with an enormous advantage over the cut line. His teammate did not. Neither did Tyler Ankrum. They're all championship eligible and racing for position as we go inside of 12 laps remaining.
Nice move by Ankrum.
That is some great racing right there. Tight these 3 trucks are. They all know how important each position is.
Taylor Gray's going to fight back on the bottom of the racetrack in that 17 truck.
Going to try to put the squeeze job on Ankrum. Tyler's not having it.
See what Tyler can do down here in 1 and 2.
Tell you who's liking this. Corey Heim, you guys sort this out between yourselves. I'm going to get out of here, but that's not happening. Good run through turns 1 and 2 there for Gray. I think they're both better right now than Heim.
Look at the pylon. Eckes, Majeski, and Heim all better than 40 points above the cut line. 10 to go. Checking timing and scoring. The advantage for Layne Riggs out front, back to 9/10 of a second.
They ran about the same speed that last lap did Riggs and Majeski as we watch this battle. Tight battle for 4th. 5th.
Taylor Gray's got it. He got by his teammate Corey Heim. You know he had to be a little extra careful. Certainly didn't want to take any chances and make contact with his teammate Corey Heim.
Now Ankrum's going to try to grab that spot. Wow, so close.
Drive it hard down in the corner. It's going to slide almost like a slide job. He's got the lap truck of Thad Moffitt to his outside. He's got that spot now.
Tires have really given up now. We talked about the fall off and the speeds and the time around this racetrack. Just means you got to be even that much more gentle with the gas pedal. These moves are impressive that we're seeing these guys make.
And it's hard to be like that too when you're battling for position.
That's a steady lead right there, right?
He's been outstanding in this final stage. Layne Riggs only 22 years old, but showing plenty of maturity here at Milwaukee. 7 remaining. And he's got a 1-second advantage over Ty Majeski, who started on the pole and today led 45 laps.
Majeski can just taste it here at his home track in Wisconsin, knowing that victory is just out the windshield. If he can get to Layne Riggs, Christian Eckes also heating up Majeski as we race down inside 10 to go.
Just think about how many times recently that Layne Riggs has been in the hunt for a victory that would have qualified him for the playoffs. And if so, today he would be racing for a spot in the round of 8.
I think he's just going to be tickled to death if he can hold on here and get to victory lane and join his dad Scott as winners in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Off turn 4, 5 laps remaining for Layne Riggs.
1, 2, 3. No lap trucks between them right now, so you can put up the fastest time. It was Majeski that time by. As Riggs is using up every inch of this racetrack, right out to that outside wall. Got to hit your marks. Real important, obviously, not to overdrive, not to worry so much about that mirror. Just listen to your team, listen to your spotter, telling you what the gap is, and do your job.
And fortunate for him, not a ton of traffic right in front of him. 3.5 laps remaining.
See all the playoff drivers that are littering the top 10 there. Just 2 of our playoff drivers outside the top 10 right now. Infinger back in 13th and Raja back in 18th.
Is that a slow truck down on the bottom? What Layne Riggs doesn't want to see right now is a caution.
Only 2 cautions in this race today. And at the very least, he wants to get back to that white flag before we see another caution.
Then he won't mind.
That's right.
We got to get to that white. Wow, what a performance for this young man.
2 miles to victory. 2 laps remaining at Milwaukee for Layne Riggs.
Just needs to hold his breath for about 30 seconds now.
He's opened it up to over a second and a half now over Majeski.
There's Majeski, there's Riggs.
Coming off of turn 4, and he'll see the white flag this time around. Next flag would end the race.
Gotta feel really good right now about what's left, but mainly about what he's accomplished so far. Wow, what a great drive for Layne Riggs.
First race of the postseason in 2024. And we're going to have a playoff spoiler. Here he comes. Off of turn 4, Layne Riggs, a winner for the first time in his career. He gets it done at Milwaukee. Every point matters. Corey Heim holds off Daniel Dye for 7th.
That Craftsman will round out the top 10.
Layne Riggs gets the win. Majeski 2nd today. Eckes gets a stage victory, finished 3rd. Sanchez in the top 5. The same for Taylor Gray. Good afternoon for Ankrum, who was 6th. Mention Heim got Dye for 7th. Ben Rhodes ends up 9th after qualifying 18th. What a day for the rookie. Layne Riggs takes over in the final stage and wins at the Milwaukee Mile.
Excited to see what he was able to do, and this is what you come for. This is what racing's all about, you know. All the sacrifice, all the time, all the effort. You race week in, week out, for Layne Riggs. This is an event that he's going to remember for a long, long time. Celebrating with family, celebrating with crew. The helmet is on, race fans. He can hear you. Give a round of applause to Layne Riggs. His first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series victory, and it comes at the historic Milwaukee Mile. He will grab the checkered flag and they'll take photos. I tell you, the race shop is going to be a party for Layne Riggs, his crew, crew chief, everything. What a big win for Layne Riggs in the 38 today. What a rocket ship they put together. And a well-deserved win. Holding up.
Layne Riggs has joined his father, Scott, as a winner in the CRAFTSMAN Truck Series. Scott did it 5 times. The first of his career comes today for 22-year-old Layne, who, when he was celebrating, appeared to injure his shoulder. I've never seen that after a race.
I mean, he is hurting. His crew assists him. There's Dad.
Scott is there. That's awesome.
But he's fine now.
I think he must have got it out of socket or something, right?
It's like you don't want to speculate, like an injury in football, but the reality is it looked like the celebration, maybe it did injure his shoulder, maybe out of socket, and everything appears to be okay. Although I will say adrenaline is a strong thing.
That is crazy. And look at him, he's happy now. That's cool.
The team knows that he's in pain here.
We saw this replay during commercial, and I thought they were just trying to hold him up, but obviously they're working on that right arm.
Said, I'm good. Everything's good, yeah. And then he jumps. Then he jumps up.
That is wild.
He gets a win and an assist to the crew for taking care of him. Ty Majeski, second today. Let's hear from him.
And he came up just 1 spot short of a win here at his home track. And Ty, I heard you were plowing tight pretty much the whole race, but would you say you're satisfied on this good points day in round 1 of this event?
Well, I think the fact that we missed it as bad as we did and we were as close as we were is super encouraging. That means we have a lot of speed in our trucks. It's just up to us to hit the package right. You know, Joe and I put our heads together to come up with our Phoenix package and come up with some changes to it to try and make it better for Phoenix. Don't know that we got there quite yet, but man, super proud of the run we've had the last 3 races. We're hitting on all 8 cylinders right now, and just yeah, super proud of everybody. Everybody back at the shop has been working hard over the course of the Olympic break into Richmond and into Milwaukee here to get our trucks better, and we're seeing that improvement. And yeah, I feel good about where we're at. Thank you to Road Ranger, Soda Sense, Curb Records, all of our partners, Duke and Ronda Thorson. We're poised to make a pretty good run here, so we got to keep it going.
Looking forward to Bristol and Kansas. What kind of things are you guys working on as far as improvement goes, like you just mentioned?
Well, the last 2 races, even though we've won them, we've made mistakes and have had to come back. And this race, win or not, we wanted to have a clean race, no mistakes on any of our parts. We've all made them over the course of the last 2 races, so we wanted to clean that up. Those types of things can be the difference between making it into Phoenix and not. So we want to clean those up. We did that today. Happy to be here in Wisconsin. Really wanted this one on my home track, but hopefully we can come back and do it again soon.
A solid points day here for Ty Majeski. Jamie.
And as Layne Riggs has now made his way to celebrate inside of Victory Lane, you can see the emotion take over his face, the checkered flag in hand. For Layne is now being able to celebrate this, just his 23rd start here in the CRAFTSMAN Truck Series. As a second-generation racer here, watching your dad be able to win, soaking in this moment, how does it compare to what you imagined?
Oh, I don't even know how to describe it. Biggest thing I can do is just thank, Zorn that was on the truck this weekend. It was their first race, and it's awesome for them, and loves Travel Stops, Infinity Communication. Jeff, I know you're watching at home, man. We got it done. It's awesome. Thank you to Bob Jenkins, Jerry Freeze for letting me drive this truck. And, I mean, it's been no surprise that we've had a terrible year. It's been an awful year. I've learned so much, though, and I went through my rookie season, and you know, after the start, I thought there's no way we're going to get a win. You know, we do the best we can, but we're just learning for next year. And I knew in practice this thing was pretty awesome. So I couldn't be more thankful to Front Row and everybody on this team. We have a good time together, and we're a family now.
We saw you celebrating after the burnout out on the racetrack. Looked like you might have popped your shoulder out. What happened?
Yeah, I dislocated my shoulder. I was celebrating so hard. It hurts like a mug, but it was worth it. It's not the first time it's happened to me, but it ain't gonna slow me down.
Not gonna slow you down. You get to celebrate this when he said on the radio, guys, I would go to war with any one of you on this pit crew. They get to celebrate tonight. Adam, Heather?
And a 6th straight podium for Christian Eckes, bringing it home 3rd here. What were you fighting there at the end? Because it seemed like handling was just a little off.
Yeah, I mean, the Napa Auto Care Chevy was really good all day. I was leading on the bottom, and it bottomed out for the first time all day. It shot it up the racetrack and just couldn't recover. I was way too tight. Felt like it was going to build tight, and it did, and we just weren't aggressive enough on adjustments. So proud of everybody, but definitely a pretty big missed opportunity. So this truck will go to Phoenix. This is our Phoenix truck planned, and felt like it has a lot of potential. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, disappointed in that.
Christian Eckes with a solid top 5, Adam.
No question, great run today. 2nd straight year he's been top 5 here in Milwaukee. Wanted the win to lock himself in to the round of 8, but a nice advantage here, plus 60 as we anticipate Bristol next, where he won earlier this year.
Yes, 6 drivers now within 15 points of that cut line, so things haven't smoothed out any for these playoff drivers for sure.
We see it every year. We leave the first race and we have more questions than we have answers. And I think that's what I love so much about the Truck Series and the NASCAR playoffs. This is just a great time of year if you're a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series fan.
The fans don't have to do the math. Phil already did. He is a human calculator. Layne Riggs, victorious at the Milwaukee Mile. Congratulations.